Sector 2814 was one of the space sectors protected by the Green Lantern Corps. The Green Lantern Corps is an intergalactic police force dedicated to protecting sentient life in every form, established thousands of years ago by the Guardians. Sector 2814 had many sentient life forms, but one planet in particular held some of the most notable Green Lantern members, such as the legendary Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Kyle Rayner, and Simon Baz, just to name a few. The planet is called Earth. The Green Lantern Corps is not the only corps to exist in space. There are Lantern Corps of other colors and emotional spectrums that exist in this vast world. Green's willpower, Blue's hope, Indigo's compassion, and Violet's love are all seen as positive ends of the spectrum. Red's rage, Yellow's fear, fall on the other end of the spectrum. There is still one unique Lantern Corps that is made up of only one singular member. It is the Orange Lantern Corps member, Larfleeze, who possesses the Ring of Avarice. Or, at least he did. When Larfleeze visited Earth, he wanted to take possession of one of the rarest gems known to Sector 2814, the Ruby of Zorion. It is said that the ruby contains an energy source that mimics the light spectrum contained within the lantern rings. Legend states that he who wields the Ruby of Zorion shall possess complete command over the entire light and emotional spectrum. The Ruby of Zorion was contained in a safe. The safe was in a house off Cornhill in the heart of London. Who resides in this house, you may ask? Well, Ebenezer Scrooge, of course. Scrooge is considered one of the greediest and wealthiest men in all of London. Larfleeze, using the power of his orange ring of avarice, flew to the house in the city of London. He easily blasted the door off its hinges and went scanning for the ruby. Alarmed by the blast, Scrooge ran over to his dresser and pulled out a remote. The remote was created by the McAllister Home Security Corporation. Scrooge momentarily hesitated, considering the device was created by a supervillain, news that broke out just a few months ago. Scrooge pushed the button and hoped for the best. Larfleeze was downstairs being attacked by marbles that turned out to be smoke bombs, acid-spitting wind-up toys, swinging logs, and many other contraptions. Larfleeze handled all of this without any trouble. How could common household objects hurt one with a lantern ring? Larfleeze proceeded up the stairs and came face to face with Ebenezer Scrooge. Larfleeze pointed his ring at Ebenezer and demanded the location of the Ruby of Zorion. Scrooge, even while facing down an alien who could easily end him, refused to give up any of his belongings, let alone one of his prized treasures. Larfleeze, upset, decided to strike down Scrooge with a blast from his ring. The only problem was, the ring didn't respond to Larfleeze. Upset, Larfleeze began to become angry and questioned the ring. The ring responded, stating that Larfleeze was unworthy of possessing the Ring of Avarice. Greed began to sink in deeper into the heart of Scrooge. He spoke out to the ring, asking it to join forces with him. The ring responded and flew off of Larfleeze's finger. With it, the alien was no longer coated in an orange lantern uniform. The ring went to Scrooge, and with it asked Scrooge to recite the oath. "The power is mine. This is my light. Be it in bright of day or black of night, I lay claim to all that falls within my sight. To take what I want, that is my right." And with the oath stated, the power of avarice consumed Scrooge. He made quick work of Larfleeze and began his new goal of collecting all of the lantern rings for himself. Like many, Frostwick Snow became unemployed due to COVID-19 shutting down his place of employment. Without a job, Frostwick was kicked out of his apartment and forced to live in the streets. He got to see just how awful people truly were when he found himself begging on the streets for loose change so he could purchase his next meal. People walking in the streets ignored him like he was less than human, spat in his face, tried to rob him, attacked him, and told him that he was just as bad as the mutant scum. Mutants are beings born with incredible abilities. Some look like normal humans, while others have monstrous and grotesque forms. There were many mutant-phobic people in the world because they feared the dangerous powers these mutants possessed. Some could shoot lasers from their eyes, others could walk through walls, teleport, or even control others with their minds. The news showed a very dangerous group of mutants known as the X-Men. The news painted them in a negative light and offered cash rewards to anyone who could provide valid information about their organization. Frostwick took this as an opportunity to get out of the streets and back into a home. 2 months later, Frostwick would get his chance. The X-Men were at Bryant Park in New York City, fighting against another mutant group known as the Brotherhood of Mutants. Frostwick was hiding behind a tree when the battle was going down. One blue-furred mutant left out another mutant that was able to jump high into the air while expanding a long tongue from his mouth. One young girl in a yellow jacket shot fireworks from her hands at another seemingly normal-looking person. That was until he extended his hands, rolled his eyes back, and the ground began to shake. One shorter mutant in a yellow and blue costume protracted metal bone claws from his knuckles and went after a very muscular-looking savage with sharp teeth and nails. At this point, Frostwick was panicking and believed he was well in over his head. As he began to run, a large flashing laser beam blasted the ground just mere inches from where he was hiding. Above where the laser had blasted was a man encased in armor floating above the burning foliage. The mutant extended his hand, and one of the lampposts in the park began to shake, rise, change shape, and propelled towards the mutant wearing the yellow and red visor. The police came in hot, but were easily handled by a girl flying in the air. She lifted her fingers in one hand to her temples and used the other hand to lift the vehicles telekinetically. Frostwick began to run as fast as he could and ended up running into a blob of a man. He was a very large man with a cascade of rolls. The mutant was distracted by a smaller-looking ice sculpture. The ice mutant told the blobby mutant to freeze, and a blast of chilling ice spread and encased both him and Frostwick. Moments later, the armor-clad mutant known as Magneto propelled the squad cars at the X-Men. The explosions from hitting the ground caused more fire to spread in Bryant Park. The X-Men turned their attention to stopping the fire, while the remaining Brotherhood members began to retreat. It was Magneto who noticed that Blob was encased in ice, and on his way down to free him, he noticed something. Frostwick broke out of the ice barrier. He was turning white as snow, but felt fine. In fact, he felt better than fine. He felt great. When he broke free, he created a snow from his body. Magneto took the opportunity to recruit Frostwick. Frostwick knew that he couldn't return to his old life, and why would he want to? Being homeless was no life at all, so he willingly accepted Magneto's offer. The X-Men were returning their attention to Magneto and the rest of the Brotherhood of Mutants. Magneto turned his attention to Frostwick and asked, "What is your name, brother?" Frostwick responded, "Call me Frosty. Frosty, the snowman." Magneto grinned and said, "Frosty, provide us with some cover." Frosty reached his arms out and created a raging snow blizzard. With that, the Brotherhood of Mutants escaped from the X-Men, and the mutant, Frosty the Snowman, was born. Nicholas Klaus worked underneath Norman Osborn of Oscorp, which specializes in chemical manufacturing, as well as other areas of research and development, including robotics. It was here Nicholas Klaus learned that a radioactive spider had escaped from the tower and bit a citizen in New York City. The biggest clue to this was the rising of a hero that some called amazing, while others called spectacular. The Daily Bugle, run by J. Jonah Jameson, called him a menace to society. We are, of course, speaking about the wall crawler known as Spider-Man. Norman Osborn was working on a way to recreate a serum that gave Spider-Man his abilities, but being power-hungry, Norman wanted more. He wanted to increase his own intelligence as well as strength. He wanted to improve both stamina and endurance. He wanted to become faster and more durable. Norman wanted to become superior in every sense of the word. With Nicholas Klaus by his side, Norman was sure to achieve this goal. Klaus and Osborn worked tirelessly over the course of a year. Every time they thought they were getting closer to finishing the serum, a new side effect emerged in their animal test subjects. Some changed colors with no other noticeable symptoms. Some changed forms and couldn't withstand the transformation, and others literally boiled from the inside out. Klaus and Osborn did find other successes within the year. They managed to create robotic gliders that looked like skateboards. These gliders allowed the user to fly and maneuver with great ease and balance in the air. They were recognized by the Humanitarian Society for helping provide children in hospitals throughout New York City with toys for the holidays. And they managed to secure a contract with the National Defense Bureau for the weapons they produced that packed power, were lightweight, and could fit easily in the palm of your hands. These achievements aside, Klaus and Osborn were frustrated at their own failure. Over the course of the year, Spider-Man became more and more well-known. He was portrayed in the Daily Bugle as someone who was causing the crime rates to increase. However, word on the street was that Spider-Man was a hero. He was patrolling the streets and helping whoever he could. Klaus was becoming more and more jealous of the attention that Spider-Man was getting. It was their company's radioactive spider that created him, after all. Klaus was driven to the brink and decided to move on to human trials. One late December night at Oscorp, when everyone went home, Nicholas Klaus decided to inject himself with the serum he and Norman Osborn created. Luckily for him, Norman Osborn was away on vacation with his son Harry for the holidays. After injecting himself, Klaus felt no change. At least, not at first. He left the building and walked around the streets of New York City feeling the serum was a bust. Klaus's eyes gravitated to all the holiday decorations filling in the windows of local businesses. The posters of Santa printed on the walls of buildings and the sides of buses. It was then something inside of Klaus snapped. If he wanted to be recognized by the people, as Spider-Man had recognition, then Klaus would need to get to the same level as Santa Claus. In fact, Klaus began believing he was Santa Claus. He went into the nearest tattoo parlor that was still open and got his forearms inked with the words naughty and nice. Klaus noticed that he felt no pain at all. On his way home, Klaus began to feel his body contort. He felt massive pain all around him. He felt his bones crack and begin shifting within his body. The pain was immeasurable. When everything stopped moving inside of his body, he quickly ran to the first reflective surface he could find. It was then he noticed the physical changes the serum had caused. Nicholas Klaus now looked like a giant green elf. A police officer had taken notice of Klaus and called in for backup. Klaus knew that it would only be a matter of time before Spider-Man would show up. Klaus quickly ran back to Oscorp in hopes of securing some tools that could help him against the web-slinger. Klaus managed to secure a glider from research and development. With his heightened intellect, Klaus was able to create an elf-shaped head for the front of the glider in just mere minutes. Klaus also secured some miniature impact bombs and hid some within a bag of presents that were supposed to go to the New York City Children's Hospital. A guard came in behind Klaus and told him to put his arms up. Klaus's animalistic side came out, and the guard was taken care of very quickly. Klaus noticed the guard was wearing a red shirt and a Santa hat with a beard. Klaus took the clothing and put them on just moments before Spider-Man came in. Spider-Man took a good look at the Jolly Green Giant and said, "Normally I have a really good quip for this, but I'm not even sure what I'm looking at right now." Enraged, Nicholas Klaus stated, "I'm Santa Claus, and you have been naughty this year." Klaus jumped onto the elf glider and flew through the window. Spider-Man followed closely behind as he swung through the city. Klaus, spotting Spider-Man, threw a few presents at him. Spider-Man kicked a few of them out of the way and was about to make contact with another present when a spider sense went off. Just then, the present exploded, knocking Spider-Man down into a parked car below. "Until we meet again, Spider-Man! Ho, 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 ho!" And with that begins the origin story of Spider-Man's greatest arch nemesis, Santa Claus. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please leave it a like. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. And I really need to know, which of these is your favorite art piece? Mine has to be Santa Claus. I really enjoyed putting these animated Christmas characters into the Marvel and DC universe as supervillains so much that I decided to do a part 2, except I'll be using live-action Christmas characters like Buddy the Elf, the Grinch, and Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. If you are big fans of any of those characters, you're not going to want to miss out. Speaking of Christmas, why not check out the Christmas Draw-Along playlist that I've got? It's a playlist consisting of Christmas art some of my students and I made. There will be an episode posting daily from December 12th all the way to Christmas Day. Would really love your feedback on that, guys. And really quickly, Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope you all have a wonderful and safe holiday. Y'all have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.